The Zay Initiative, an ode to the past, a nod to the future, a collection of Arab dress and adornment, celebrating human narrative.
Friends of the Zay, creative advisors, and guests, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar, Dialogues on the Art of Arab Fashion, Symbiotic Edible Fashion. I am so excited. We at the Zay Initiative love our bi-monthly webinars and love bringing you different things from around the world. And I think tonight really will be truly different. Please do introduce yourself on the chat. Thank you, Taylor Lynn. And let us know where you're from. Following this event, we will go to behind the scenes straight afterwards. Please do join us if you're a friend of the Zay. If you are not a friend of the Zay, please email Reem Ashraf at marketing@thezay.org, who will be able to assist you. As ever, following the webinar, we'll allow some time for Q&A. So please add your questions to the Q&A through the Zoom function as we go along. All our sessions are recorded and will be sent to you, our registered participants, within 24 hours of the event for further catch-up or viewing. Anyway, that's quite enough from me. Allow me to introduce you to Dr. Reem Mutwalli, who will introduce you to our speaker. Thank you, Dr. Reem.
Hello, thank you, Emma. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our world. A world in which we routinely converse with voices from the past and hope to address readers from the future. As we all explore the story of dress and how to make sense of this combination of old and new. For the benefit of those who are joining us for the first time, we always like to start by explaining that our name emanates from the Arabic term Zay, where Zay literally means the costume and dress attire of certain country or era. And why do we have it in Arabic? Because Zay is concerned with the legacy of the Arab world. So the Zay Initiative is founded to help promote an understanding of the evolution of the regional culture across the Arab world through dress, to build public awareness and appreciation for this unique heritage, and to create a platform for like-minded individuals and institutions nationally, regionally, and globally. So simply put, we at the Zay are collecting the tangible to narrate the intangible. We are a UK-based organization. And some of you might wonder, what do we mean when we mention the Arab world? The Arab world is a cultural trait rather than a racial one. Not all Arabs are Muslims, nor all Muslims are Arabs. The Arab world is full of rich and diverse communities, ethnicities, religions, groups, and cultures, including Muslims, Christians, Jews, Yazidis, Kurds, Armenians, Amazigh, Berber, and other minorities. Differences do exist, not only among countries, but within countries as well. There are over 200 million Arabs worldwide, and generally anyone who speaks or adopts the Arabic language is typically called an Arab. Now, many of you, I am sure, must be wondering, what has food got to do with the art and design and dress? Or better yet, what has it got to do with dress and adornment? And how do they all connect with sustainability? Our guest today will be taking us through this journey as we weave culinary art with design and dress and bring them into a sustainable future. Chef Omar, please, if you come on. I hope we can connect.
Hi, how are you?
Chef Omar, hi. I think you are talking to me from Jordan.
Yes, exactly. How are you?
I am in London and the rest of the team are in Dubai. So we are connecting via a triangular approach. And first of all, I would like to welcome you to our platform. And I'm really excited about the journey that we're going to be taking today with you through this presentation. But to start with, can you give us a brief introduction as to yourself?
First, I would like to say that London and Dubai both are close places to my heart since I studied in London and I spent a lot of time there and I worked in Dubai afterwards. So like these are the closest things to my heart. So my regards to you in London and my regards to you in Dubai. It's I'm really honored to be part of this webinar with such a first of all established and avant-garde yet grounded in her roots. Dr. Reem,
Thank you.
your CV, your work is unmatched. It's really beautiful, and it's always nice to see the cultured people trying to make a change. And so it's an honor to be on this platform. First of all, I am basically I was a designer. I was kind of working in engineering. I was in Dubai for like 7 years or 8 years, doing most of the construction works there. And it's my journey. It's been through studying engineering, which I didn't like, and then working in construction, which I enjoyed, and in between a couple of stock markets and marketing, and then my passion has always been food. I've always been fascinated by the craft. I've always been fascinated by people who have a craft, no matter what it is, like a carpenter, a smith. But food always captured my heart. And when I was growing up, it was not something to be looked on or studied or something because it was frowned upon. You know, you either be a doctor or lawyer or an engineer. So that was the path I took. And but my heart was in food. So I went to Dubai. I worked there in construction for a long time. And having all that journey, it taught me so many skills. And then I went back to Jordan. I came back to Jordan and I opened a design company and I started brushing with food, doing restaurants, designing restaurants, talking to restaurateurs. And from there, this is where it started actually of me figuring out I love food. I wanted to be in food. And I since then I transferred my life. I shifted career and I became a chef. But I always had my different perspective when it came to food. Most people, I mean, I was trained. I was trying to better, always give more. But I've always approached food from different place. And I was supposed to take a course in France at a Michelin Star Institute that gives you six weeks courses. And I think our destiny is always pre-written for us. So what happened by coincidence, by a misunderstanding with a great mind, they assumed they got me catering for Her Majesty by complete. There was a miscommunication, and I was actually I had the task to reinvent our culture, reinvent our food, and I just went to Google and I couldn't find anything, and that's where my journey began. They were like, you know what, you be the first one to do it. Okay, no one has done it before in the Arabic world. Okay, go do your research and start working, and that's the day my journey started, and I've just been complete changing and understanding and seeing that part. And at that point, I think the French, the French school, they love me. They said, you're very good, but you're very disruptive. We were going to take you to be trained, but I think we're disruptive. So they directed me to Harvard to take a food science, food chemistry, and food physics course. And from there, that's where my journey started of me understanding myself and understanding what I wanted to do and trying to use food, because food art before was basically someone painting, like someone plating nice or someone using a watermelon to carve on. And where in my case, I'm using food as my medium. Okay, I cannot paint. I cannot use. I'm not a sculptor. I cannot use the stones. I can only use food. So I've always had ideas. I never was able to express them.
So you're not really, sorry to cut you through, but you're not really decorating food, but rather working with it in order to come out with new results and new applications for it, correct?
It's my canvas. Yes, it's my canvas. It's my stone. Food is my medium.
Which takes me to my first question. What is culture and why is food embedded within culture?
What I want to say today is about what ifs. It's about maybes. Okay, it's not about any. I once I read before I start. Once I read for Dostoevsky, he said, "I'm one of those miserable people that no 1 + 1 does not equal 2." And I thought, what is he talking about? 1 + 1 equals 2. So then I understood the further I went through my journey. So today is not about 1 + 1 equals 2. It's about the maybes. Okay. So how I see food is basically entrapped in a culture. Basically, as a culture, you have ingredients. And the way you use these ingredients, it's basically the most functional way, the most least resistant way with your culture. So if I feed you Russian food, you can tell so much about Russia From the food, you can tell about the social class, the weather, the elements, okay, the politics of that, just from one bite. Well, it will take you 6 books to read that. If I feed you a Greek food, okay, from the Mediterranean, you would know the weather, how they dress. You can imagine so many things just from one bite, okay, rather than actually having books about that. If I feed you one dish from the Emirates, if I feed you one dish from Jordan, the Jameed, you would know it came from the desert. It could not have come from somewhere else. So food entraps, expresses the culture more than any other medium that can. This is my belief in that, and a proof of that. In my culture, Jameed is a very prominent. It's basically it's the most dish. It's called mansaf. We use Jameed. It's basically it's milk that's been dehydrated, and just you freeze milk, and just you can store it for years. And whenever you need that milk, you just dilute it and you have it. And this preserved our culture for thousands of years. And this dish is unapologetic because it came from the desert, unlike caviar or unlike something which is pleasant on the palate. This hits you. This is strong. This is from the desert. This shows that, and this is something you cannot fake.
So here, for example, this is a beautiful example that shows how you have interpreted yourself the mansaf in a modern way. Is this
Yeah. On the left is the traditional mansaf, which is the rice, the meat, the nuts, and the yogurt comes. And here actually is a dish where it's what if a French person were to do that? What if, because I am Jordanian, I can only express the Arabic culture. I'm from Arabia, and I want to express my culture. But what if I wanted to give mansaf to a European? He would not appreciate the taste that I've got used to. So this is basically, what if a European in a parallel universe created mansaf? Okay, that would have been this is the brown bits on the below are the Jameed that's been caramelized over hours and hours. Okay, very slowly. So this is caramelized Jameed. It becomes textured like you're eating coffee, for example, dehydrated coffee, and it hits you with all this acidity and all this umami that has in it. And on top is a rice with ghee and nuts, ice cream, and it's the opposite of mansaf. Mansaf is filling in a different way, and this is light and it just uplifts you. So this was one of the times I felt.
It's sort of deconstructing. It's sort of deconstructing what you have in order to understand it, which is understanding 100%. Your culture in a way, and then taking it a step further by reintroducing it. The problem we have in our culture is that what we do is we cut and paste generally, be it in design or in food or in dress or in whatever. But seldom do you find someone that really takes something, deconstructs it completely, and then reintroduces it. And that is what I liked with your work. And I will take us to the next slide so that you can tell me more about this, which is fascinating.
Just to answer that, it's first of all to deconstruct things. I am lucky that I was in design. Okay, so I'm very good with conceptual. I understand conceptual. So when I approach food, I understand what's pillar and what's not pillar, what's important, what you take away, what changes things. I was once trying to elevate water. It was one of the most great exercises, because if you add anything to water, it stops becoming water. So the level and the line is a very fine line, and few people can do that. And I'm so grateful because I went through many experiences, and all that led me into being the person I am. So that the first one was inspired by my culture, by Jameed, okay, by the desert. This one is inspired by the landscape. So if you see, I was saying, you know, where the sand of the dunes of Dubai. Okay, I lived in Dubai for like 7 years, and I love Dubai. It's one of my, it's like I belong there. And the desert and the sea, there is a melange. They meet in a beautiful moment. And I was just trying to show that this is where that's actually a bread soup, and the broth is colored a little bit, and this is butter bread, and it's done in a way that mimics our landscape. So our inspiration as humans always has to come from our culture, or from our landscape, or from our ancestors. Like your work, you are inspired by what was, okay, and what was remained because it was justified. It came not out of necessity and art, and it was tested all the time. So we are inspired by things that are around us, and we should always look. But what makes us unique is I am Arabic. I would be the worst, most horrible Japanese artist or Japanese cook, but I can express my culture well. So this is me expressing and being inspired by the landscape.
So in your opinion, what is the most important ingredient? If I was to use your terms.
Culture. I would say culture. I would say just who we are. Yeah. My DNA that's embedded with all this information, and I should express it. I should never try to teach. I would never cook a French dish to a French person. I would just cook him my food because, okay, let me say something. We should tell our story. American will not come and tell our story. They cannot tell our story, nor Europeans, nor Asians. We as Arabs should tell our story. We have the most delicious food ever. It's just we're not telling the right story. We should tell people the right story because only us can walk our path and just tell our stories. In the next slide you have, that's an example of that. A great Michelin star chef came and he was inspired by Wadi Rum, and he created this dish called Wadi Rum. He has a 2 Michelin star. And I was offended. He's a great cook. I mean, he's fantastic. He probably cooks 10 times better than all of me put together. But you don't understand Wadi Rum. You just went there for an hour. You cannot create something. You can be inspired, but you cannot create something from that. So I thought, you know what? I want to show you Wadi Rum. And I created that, and it's butter and bread, okay? And the idea, this is my Wadi Rum. This is the dunes in Dubai. This is our desert of Arabia. This is embedded in us. Even though I did not live there, but it's part of my DNA. So that was an expression of the landscape, of how we can manifest that differently. What if I go to Holland, for example? I cannot express his culture.
So is this on the right side? Is this the butter and the bread mixed together?
Yeah,
and how do you eat it? Is this something edible?
Sorry?
Is this something edible?
Yeah, it's a caramelized yeast butter, salted, and it has breadcrumbs and crumbled, and on it is dusted with some sourdough, like 4 days old sourdough that's dusted on that. So it has a lot of umami and it's beautiful. It has flavor in it.
But to play devil's advocate, sourdough is not part of our food, is it?
Sourdough is basically no. Okay, you are hung about the names. Forget about the name. Okay, we ferment. Fermentation started in Iraq. Mm-hmm. Fermentation started in Iraq and then in Egypt.
That, so I was pulling your leg into this. Yes.
No, I'm saying, listen, we are telling the whole story. It's the story of humanity. It started in Iraq and then it went to Egypt. Then from there it went to Athens, and then it went to Baghdad again, and then it went to Baghdad, yes, and then it went to. So it's a continuous story. Then it went to Europe. So the people did not create sourdough from zero. This has been done before in Iraq and fermentation. And actually, the oldest bread in the world was found in Jordan. I was speaking to an amazing human, Ammar Khamash. He's one of the biggest geniuses in the world, an established architect. He was telling me that actually they assumed that bread came after Zira'a, and actually bread came before. People were our ancestors in Jordan and in Arabia. They were so crafty. They created bread even before like the Zira'a era. So we give it different names, but it's all the same. As I tell you, we treated the ingredients as according to our culture. Where in Europe they created the sourdough because they were true to their culture. In their caves, they created their different cheeses. We created the cheeses that are fit to us. So each lives with the ingredients as of to his culture. But we are all humans. It's all one story, and just different accents.
This is another beautiful presentation of the same dish presented in 2 different ways.
100%. That's when I started understanding. That's the French. It's inspired by. Brass, he's a very famous, one of the best chefs in the world, and he did the salad, and I was thinking I can do the same salad, express it in this manner, and that was a tribute to him, and that was me starting to have finesse, understanding how to distribute things and just give you different experience. So once you eat the salad, it's not monotone, it's not just salad, no, it's like, okay, that's nice, okay, acid, okay, there is no any, so it takes you on a journey. So I'm telling you, it's about storytelling, so I'm telling you a story with Fattoush.
And then takes us to this one. And these are all steps. I just want to explain to our audience that these were all steps leading you to something that we will be revealing in a few minutes. So bear with us as you listen to the story. So then you are
Yeah.
experimenting again here with the msikhan, which is a very traditional
I always
Palestinian.
would, yeah. Uh, I think if we are true to ourselves and if we have faith, and this is my definition of faith, yeah, faith. If we trust God, if we trust the human in us, if we trust the universe, we can walk a path that we don't know why we're walking that path, but we have the belief that one day we'll reach something, and the revelations become little by little. So this when I was walking this journey, I had no idea why. This was me starting to do molecular gastronomy that I studied at Harvard, and I had no idea why I'm doing that. I just wanted to learn, and I just wanted to break all the rules that I know, and I wanted to showcase. At that moment, at this stage, I believed that cultures, which I still believe that they even go up or go down. They never stay the same. Okay, sustainability, sustaining something it's very hard. So all food should be modernized. Everything, literature, everything. You should not forget about the past, but everything should be taken to a modern accent. And this was me using transparent bread. I was doing transparent bread, and I always thought saffron. People would kill me for that, but it's a little bit heavy with the oil. So this is me using dehydrated oil and confit onions with a lot of sumac on a transparent bread, and it gives you a lighter feel but the same flavor. So it's like I'm feeding your soul with this one. I was always saying the one before on the left, I'm feeding your stomach, okay, and touching your soul. This one, I'm touching your stomach, I'm feeding your soul. So it's
This
the
is
opposite
amazing.
of that.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This one,
This,
this is basically being critical, saying, you know what? Why did they use manouche? They wanted to eat the cheese. Okay, so why do you have the bread? Okay, it can be because it's filling, which is an argument that I would definitely um, believe is more accurate than mine. But I think Aristotle said the mind of an educated person who can entertain ideas. So I'm entertaining an idea that I think the bread is just a vehicle to carry the cheese, so the cheese doesn't melt when it's inside the oven. So what if I remove the bread? So in here I remove the bread. That's a molecular manouche. It's basically just the cheese with all the flavoring minus the bread, which gives you the ultimate experience of manouche. So this is taking what was before and applying science and being playful and just producing something better. And I just want to mark something. Our parents, they use science all the time. You know, maybe it wasn't called science or something, but we always use the knowledge we have. And this is me using the knowledge I have. This is a tribute to one of the most amazing, fascinating humans to me. His name is Ferran Adria. He created molecular gastronomy, and actually he was in Dubai, I think a month ago, and he was with a friend. There is a chef called Jose Andreas. His brother is called Andrea. So he was there, and I given him actually aubergine mask. I gifted him an aubergine mask, and Ferran was like, "Oh my God, this is unreal." And I couldn't believe that my idol, who I had his photo on my profile for 5 years when I was studying him, like now he knows about me, you know. But this is a tribute to him. This is basically a clarified adas. This is on the left is a lentil soup. On the right is a clarified lentil. So I make lentil soup. I clarify it overnight, and then I make a froth, and then I make all these spheres of the different elements that goes in adas soup. And it's warm. It has some cold elements, so it's a surprising, interesting take on adas. It's more refined. Yeah.
so, but chef, do you still retain all the flavors and the tastes of the original dish, or do they change as you evolve?
Okay. The way brain perceives things, it's very technical. So, the idea that the brain is never accurate, by the way. So the idea is the white broth you see, the white liquid. This has the adas flavor, but then so you have the adas, but you don't have the viscosity of the adas. Okay, so it's a lighter thing, but then the foam on top, it gives you that froth. It gives you that assumption of viscosity on the flow of the tongue receptors, and the other spheres, they give you these bursts of parsley, acidic, all these things. So it has the same flavor. It's not because adas is a very simple dish when you eat it. It's a peasant kind of dish. No, this is more of a refined dish. This is more of something that you would experience the soul of adas, but on a very lighter level. But yes, it's reminiscent of that.
And just before we move to the next slide, I wanted you to explain or define what do you mean by molecular gastronomy, just for the sake of people who might not know the term.
Okay, cooking is transforming ingredients. So basically, cooking is taking an ingredient, changing it by heat, by pH, by preserving it with time. So there are so many ways to cook something. Molecular gastronomy, and we cook things at as temperatures, and I think the better cook cooks at a more precise temperature. The more you like when you say someone is a great cook, like my grandmother, she was a great cook because she understood the ingredients. She understood what she can do with akub, what she can do with this, how she can change this, what she can. So it's about knowledge. Molecular is merging science with cooking, and cooking at a precise temperature, precise acidity, understanding the ingredient, respecting the ingredient, transforming and bending using chemistry and physics. So I can calculate, for example, like this cup has coffee. I can calculate how many molecules in there and how I can make them into a gel and how they would break and at what level I can make them evaporate. And if I increase the pressure, they can evaporate at a lower, so which will preserve more of the volatile flavors, aromas. So it's a scientist that cooks. Let's say it this way.
This one is my favorite by far. Please talk us through it.
I really believe that sometimes we just walk into our destiny without knowing it. And then we have glimpses of that in the past. We thought, okay, that was one of those moments. I was playing with something. I did a kubbe broth, and I did it with hydrochlorids. I kind of made it into like a jello kind of thing, a jello sheet. And it took me 5 days, I remember. I was every single day just trying. I had a kubbe mold and just trying to mold it as a kubbe and just molding it and waiting for it to hydrate and be at different temperatures. And at the end of 4 days, I had this beautiful half kubbe and all the filling inside and a kubbe outside. Okay. And then I would just, when I put any water or yogurt on it, it just opens up to you. So it's like one of these natural things. I really believe nature is the artist and we are inspired by nature. So it opens up to you, and then you get the inside, the prize, which is the meat and the pines. And if you can see the meat and the pine, these are the prize that you want. So I called it kubbe royale, and I thought that was the nicer take on kubbe. And when we started talking, me and you, about having this webinar, and one of the images I went to, and I was, oh my God, this is me dressing a kubbe. That's me making a dress for a kubbe. And it just hit me, and I was just going back through, and my Instagram is mental notes to me, and I was, Omar, this is you actually just dressing kubbe before I even would imagine getting into fashion. So sometimes I think, yeah, we have some stages in life where we get glitches. I think, yeah, that's another one.
This is a very interesting one because it is leading us to the idea of you becoming involved in fashion and becoming involved in this format of transferring edible material into more sustainable and usable material. And maybe you can explain it a little bit to the audience.
I am a very minimalist person. I've always just loved minimal things. I would listen to one sentence of Kulthum and I can have a tear in my eye. I would listen to Mahmoud Darwish and he can bring me to tears. And some things, they just give you, they hit you. They're so strong, they're so powerful, yet they're so simple. Over complexity kills everything. If you want to give someone a gift, imagine you give someone $1 billion, a house, and so many things together, it will mean nothing. So just simplicity. And my grandmother, she has three of my best experiences in life, my food experiences. 2 of them are with my grandmother. One of them, she makes this tomato onion salad and olive oil, salt, that's it, nothing else. And I was thinking, and the other one, yogurt, just yogurt and some olive oil, some salt, and some taboon bread. And actually, first time I understood you can move people with food is I tried to recreate that moment, and I gave it to my mom to eat it. And but it was in a little bit molecular way, not molecular, but modern way. And my mom ate it, and she smiled like a kid. And I was, oh my God, you can move people with food. This is something powerful. And here, how my grandmother would just take a tomato, cut some onions, add some salt and just some olive oil. To this day, I cannot repeat that. I've tried so many times, okay? she makes it 10,000 times better than I'll ever do. And this is an homage to that moment where I thought, you know what, I'm gonna weave the onions. Okay, I cannot repeat what you do. At least let me try to do what I can do. So it has a tomato hidden underneath, tomato that's been marinated in olive oil, and it has a weaving onions. And on the right, if you can see, there is just one mint, a very small mint, just because she used to put on the top a very small mint. That's so much to my grandmother.
Which moves us into our topic in a way. And I mean, you've got us all hungry. Now I want to go and eat every one of these pieces. And one day we should do a live session together when we get together, you know, when we meet, whether it is in London or Dubai or Jordan.
You're cooking.
So let's talk about this, which is very interesting.
I truly believe that the person we become, if we allow ourselves to drift from our comfort zone and just live life and just take chances, you know, and fall sometimes, fail sometimes, succeed sometimes, we will meet some people in our life that they will guide us, they will direct us. And this was one of those examples where an amazing human gave me a carte blanche and guided me into becoming a little bit on the artist. I bear in mind, when I was growing up, artist was not a good thing. When you say someone is an artist, it's an insult. It means he's Lulu. And if you say someone is a cook, it means he's a poor person. And or he's undereducated or something. So me becoming an artist was a struggle. And I resist so much. So this is the first time I was trying I was discovering myself. And I used to do before, what I used to do before is just work 3 months on projects which I used to call them interesting or like moving the brain. And I worked 9 months on normal projects where I just cut onions and do these things just to keep the balance. So this was the first time I was approached and said, you know what, we want you to be part of Amman Design Week, the third. Okay, first Amman Design Week, I was by mistake did the opening ceremony. I created Jameed Chocolate. Jameed is the most important ingredient to us. So me mixing it with chocolate was a blasphemy. Okay, some people liked it, the intellects, but the majority wanted to kill me. You know, why would you touch Jameed? So I wasn't invited for the second time. Then the third time they called me like, yeah, of course, because it's like the worst thing to do is to get a cook and he massacres your ingredients. So, but the idea was about manifestation of our culture in a new way. That was the idea. And the people, Sahel, Abir, Rana, they were fascinated. They told me, Omar, you have a carte blanche, go and recreate our culture. So I did. And I see 5 years from now, I understand why people were upset and offended, some of them. And I see how it opened different possibilities. But so first time I'm doing the catering. Next year, they don't even talk to me. Okay, I'm blacklisted. I don't even get an invitation. Third year, they call me like, you know what? You are performing with the main architects. Come, you're going to be in the main exhibition. And I think that was the first time in humanity, okay, honestly, that a person who cooks for an art is one of the exhibitors in the second one. So that was one of the most beautiful blessings. And I wanted to do something relevantly important to our culture and push the boundaries. So I created, Ferran Adria created the material out of edible building material. And Adonis Mogaretz, he created an edible stone. So I was gonna take this and create a whole structure out of that. And it took me 3 months or 6 months actually of actual work and figuring the material, fixing it, building sculptures, substructures. And we created a replica of Ayn Ghazal. This is the oldest statue known to man that was found in Jordan. And it was created out of a building material that instead of calcium, I used Jameed to fortify it. And it's actually, and I promise you, to the day before, 1 day before the opening, we did not know if it was going to work or it's going to fall or anything, because we did not have the funds personally to keep testing on that big scale. So we just had a replica just in case it failed. We just opened for 1 day and then they'll kick me out. So thank God it worked. It's still until now working. It's been 3 years or 4 years. And actually we've managed to create a replica with the new edible material. That is time, that has sustained for years and it still looks wonderful. So that was the first time me brushing with art actually.
Which led you to the laser printing. How did that come about?
This is about modernity. We should always use the tools that we have now to any. Okay, we Arabs, Muslims, all our different heritages that we have. Okay, we are about festive. We are about creativity. We are about hubba. Yani, if you see the Islamic culture, al-amara, the architecture, all these ornaments in it, how our food outside. When I went to England first day, she put the pasta. I was like, just the pasta and boiled potatoes on the side, and that was the food. And where I came from, like on the table, you'd have 7, 8 things. You know, if you go to a Ramadan thing, you have 15 things. And this is so we love to show how capable we are in food, and this is embedded in me. And Hona, I was thinking we have baklava. That is a beautiful.
Sweet.
It's a beautiful mold. Yeah, it's a beautiful mold. Yeah, why not use the Islamic ornamentation and our culture ornamentation and embedded on it and create different things? So I did 3D printing. This is one example where I use laser. One of them I use the mold. So it's a modern take. This is what a sultan would have done in Baghdad 1,300 years, 200 years ago.
They have the
That's
mechanism.
what that's what they would have served in their palace to their guests to showcase the highest of technology. And this is me taking that spirit and just showcasing the highest of technology using our food. Now,
This is a
on the left,
fascinating. I don't think anyone would be able to guess what this is.
yeah, on the left, it was actually, I was impressed with that. You know, no one is good. Listen, nature is the artist. We are just like puppets. It just does things to us. Okay, we just have to learn how to listen and how to use our knowledge. This was, I'm not good. My work is so better than me. I swear to God, so I'm always so impressed with my work. This is actually, I have no idea how I did that, but this was edible water. It was the first time I managed to do something that. And I remember when we talk as well, I was thinking, my God, the fluidity, how it flows, the water. It's solid. It's like a dress. And actually, you can just have it folded. And I thought that was just gorgeous. And the one on the right,
Explain what it is. It's you were trying to do what?
I was trying to do that was similar to that was one of the takes on the kubbe, if you remember. I was trying to do a dress for the kubbe. So the kubbe was a kubbe broth. This was a chicken water broth. Then I did a water broth, okay? And I wanted it to look like a silver dress, okay? So that was actually the water without the broth, just water with a little bit of coloring, just trying to make it into a dress. Just experiment because the kubbe broth took so much time to make, like 2 days, and just kept not working. So that was that. Can you just go back 1 second? I just want to show you something on the right, and we'll come back to that. On the right is dehydrated honey, okay? And this, I think, will come in the future. Why I think, and as well, when I did those, and we had a talk, I just mental notes. I'm like, on the left is an edible dress, and on the right is an edible piece of calorie-giving potential. So we'll just come back to those later, but okay.
And this is your friend didn't like roses, and you decided to create something out that looks like rose. So you used what?
I write poetry sometimes because it makes me more vulnerable. I'm horrible at Arabic, and I post it actually, so people like they abuse me for it. But I do that because we cannot be cocky or arrogant or sure. We have to be always humble. And once you write, once you dig in and try to get the emotion and write something, trust me, I find myself next day I cook the onion gentler, I cut the onion gentler, I become a gentler human being. So once you master one science or once you are good at one science, you need parallel things. So for this one, it was a very good friend. She hated flowers, and I was doing something. I can't remember what I was doing then, but then I was, you know what? I have this extra time. I'm gonna make her flowers. So I was like, I just sent her this with a note saying, "Did you make me those?" I sent her those, and she was looking like a rose, and she was like, "Did you buy me flowers? You know, I hate them. I was darling. I made them for you." So it's not like, so I made the flowers, you know, instead of that. And that would have been a beautiful dress.
And this takes us to the journey of converting material into usable forms.
This is where the heavy part starts. Okay, let's remember when I said I'm not good. This is showing proving that. So I've always had this verse in my head that Teen was Zaytoon. I have no idea why. I've just always wondered, and I've always been about food and loved food. When I got more into food, I always thought, how come we don't eat attin with zaytun every day? It's there, it's a verse, it's a sacred text. How come we, and we are literal sometimes in taking the texts, and most of us. So how come we don't eat tin zaytun every day? And when I started becoming better a little bit, and I tried to make attin with zaytun, and I made a tin gel with zaytun inside. And I thought, no, I just left it for 3-4 years. And then I thought, it just came to me, I did one dish, and that was the inspiration, the dish for this one. I thought, Darwin said the origin of a chicken is a fish. So I did the homage to Darwin. I stitched fish on a chicken. I did something take on Darwin's dish, take on Darwin. So, and then I learned stitching, and I thought, you know what, I want to make attin with zaytun. And if you go back 1 second, I waited for the teen season, and I stitched some figs together, and then I brought an olive, and it worked. And bear in mind, every time, this has not been done before. I've not read this before, so every time it works, I'm the most shocked person that it worked. So from there, I stitch it to the olive, and it's working more. And on the right, I thought, my God, this is Dolce Gabbana, and that was my thought. Literally, that's a Dolce Gabbana, tin was zaytun, and this is what is wanted. This is to me a tin was zaytun. And then I was, what's cool? My mahashi tabat my mom or my grandmother. Okay, so I wanted to do mahshi yawan kusaye bitinjane stitched together. So the next one, please. So that's it. And I was, that's fantastic. That's and it looked amazing. And the nicest comment I got from, I love architecture. So people like Saleh Yari, Nisreen Awdel, Ammar Khamash, Zahadith, all these geniuses, they really mean a lot to me. And Ammar was like, that's really nice. And that was the first time he said something good to me. I was like, oh, that's good. That was Kusa and Betinjan stitched. This is actually me taking the material. I'm thinking, you know what? Okay, why not make a leather substitute? So here I'm just trying to make leather substitute. And I'm just trying to convince some good friends to wear them. And actually, a good friend wore it to Dubai, and she went and she had this bracelet with that.
When
on the left.
Are you dehydrating it? How are you achieving this?
I was inspired by something from the Inca. When I was studying a lot, when I was studying at Harvard, and I had so much time, I was reading a lot. If you can go by just 1 second, I just want to explain something. And then I just read a lot, and I just used different techniques. In the beginning, I was just kind of dehydrating. I was using different techniques from the Inca and some modern techniques from the French cooking. A little bit from what I saw, my grandmother, different culture, the Greeks, all these different, the Romans, how they used to do things. But then on the right, I'm trying to glue it together, and it glued, okay? And then I tried to make holes in it. Of course, I cannot buy the machines, so I would just pretend it's actual leather, and I'd go to a shoemaker and just get him to work with it, and that was the process. If you go forward, please. This is the first time it was really stitched nicely together. This, I call it the oldest aubergine alive. This is actually 4 years old, okay? It's still in the same shape it was. Sorry?
How is that? How is it 40 years old?
Four.
4 years. Okay, my mistake.
Yeah, 4 or 3.5. Yeah, that's like 4 or 3.5 years old. Basically, the idea is that at that stage it wasn't very developed, but it was me just figuring ways to just keep it alive. And I was trying at that stage to recreate leather. So I was really in my mind, a naive mind, thinking I can replace leather. So that was one of those approaches. If you go further, you see the development further to that. Okay. You know Naqsh design now, Nisreen Abdel.
Yes.
Give her this. She is fantastic. Her work is phenomenal, and she is one of the powerful.
We had them on this platform a while ago.
She is fantastic. I just love the work, and when I was playing and I was testing things, can you please try it? Just want to see the possibilities. And she, being the genius she is, you can look at how beautiful this is. This is actually part of her pattern with brass on top. And this is actually, I think, 3.5 years old as well.
So is this the skin of the aubergine, or is it the whole?
Yes. There is a
Sorry, I just want to clarify to our audience. So you take the skin and you are treating it, you are what, dehydrating it? How are you, playing with it to mold it to what you need?
Okay. First of all, when I was just going into that, I did not. The paths we take, they end up changing us. So when I was getting into that, it was just playing with things, just trying to create a leather for the sake of a show or something. And from there, just got more immersed in it and more involved. And the technique advanced as well. Actually, I just want to tell you later, but just let's go through this because I want to tell you. And what happened was that if we put ourselves beyond our comfort zone, the project we start wanting to do end up changing us, and we end up changing the whole project. So I created a unique material. What I managed to do is have a different understanding, and basically, I started by simple dehydrating. But by that time, when it worked and it was stitched, and the stream managed to do something on it, and a couple of friends, I thought there is something called critical mass, I think, or something. Basically, if you apply enough pressure to anything, it will bend and it will break. And I just had this crazy idea: can you break time? Would time have a critical mass or critical breakpoint? Would time quit? And I started using my different knowledge with the skin. I skinned any fruit I want. I skin it with a knife, okay, to a precision, to a precise, to a precise texture and the thickness I want, depending on the use. And then I kind of put it in a I kind of started the later on technique was, I started to keeping it alive and seeing if time will quit. And for some crazy reason, after 15 days, just it didn't deteriorate, it didn't die, nothing happened to it. I can't explain why. It just خلاص, it just froze, time froze. It's like with Jameed, the same thing as Jameed. And from there, this is us working. This is me actually when Corona hit. So yeah, the whole world now, they take and pulp everything and they make it into a gel and they dehydrate it. I use just the skin, only the skin. So if the skin has a scar, it is differently. If the skin is aging, it ages differently. The difference in color, you can see how the texture. So I'm kind of celebrating nature rather than doing something industrial. So this is just me having the skin not die and just trying to use it in things. This one was the beginning of Corona. And I remember, if you see the lady on the left, this is a nurse. That's one of the heroes that she was doing, I think 20 hours or something. And once she take the mask, she would have all these things on her face. And at that time, we were supposed to do something with the fashion week, and it got canceled because of Corona. And trust me, Corona was a big educator for me because I thought ignorant people always have very good confidence. I thought we were indestructible, and I wouldn't believe that we would sit all at home just for a small virus. And when that happened, I thought, you know what, we're wearing masks, it's ugly. Let's change the narrative. Let's show from ugliness, let's show beauty. And I had two amazing designers come on board, and we created this mask. It was from a beautiful designer. Her name is Salma Dajani. She could stitch. She's like an amazing. She's an artist, so she could stitch this beautiful pattern. And a great Sitti Najla, one of Her Highness Najla bint Asim. She's an amazing jeweler, and she did all this brass things. So we created this mask to celebrate, in the sense of the ugliness of Corona, to turn it into a beauty piece. And it went viral. Everyone caught it, and it went viral. So that was the first actual use of this material. That's the mask, yeah, covered by CNN.
What's happening here is we have the skin of an aubergine that's been treated. Are you treating it with something other than the patina to get the gold color and the stitching? You just
sorry?
Other than adding a patina as a color, which is a gold, this golding or whatever, brassing or whatever that you're putting on it to give it.
Yeah. No, it's natural. It's here because the material ages. Same as us, we age differently, and you have brothers, each one aging differently.
It's not been treated with anything. You just took it, you stitched it together and created the object.
No. It's treated through different temperatures and different methods and different steps accumulated and different materials. But everything I use is natural. Everything I use is edible. So this is actually, I was talking to Food Lab. Food Lab is part of MIT, Food Lab, Fab Lab Barcelona, part of MIT. And the moment they came to Jordan, the TechWorks, they were eating them without even asking me if they were edible. This is edible. This is yani, everything I use, no chemicals, nothing. It's just different techniques and different modern and ancient combination of that just keeps the skin, خلاص, it just becomes dormant. It doesn't die or anything.
This is fascinating. What's happening here?
That's me as well using technology. This is called digital fabrication. On the left is the aubergine skin. This is a square skin that I made. And I didn't dehydrate for too long. And it has this, and as I say, I would do 50 aubergines and they would come out each one unique and differently. One would be mahogany, one would be silver, one would be gray. It's just nature. And I always say, it's just nature performing. Nature is the artist. Always nature is the artist. And this is just me kind of giving it that platform. And I did this, and it has all these beautiful mahogany with Bettinjan and white and all these colors. And we took it and we put it under the laser, and we started just engraving. We're just removing tiny nanoparticles, nanoskin. And we did two different techniques. We did removing, and the other one we did some embossing on it. If you're not embossing, some engraving with laser, different laser frequencies. And you can see some pattern and some colors, and it looks like gold. It looks like we have painted it. And this is not painted, it's just a piece of aubergine. On the right is the same thing with an orange. By coincidence, I just stumbled into something. Someone wanted to do an orange, and I did an orange for them. And I was just testing with that. One second, on the right as well. Before that, just 1 second. There's a mask. That's a mask with my signature lit by laser. So I'm just taking that material, the new material, and I'm using all the technology that I have, which is we have an amazing tech lab in Jordan. They have an amazing facility that's open to everyone, and they've been so supportive. And I would just use the highest technology just to try and because we don't have the channels. Like if I was in Italy, there's channels for me to go to, but here you have to kind of convince people that you have something that you want to do. So that was they're fantastic in the sense of giving me hada, and they were so supportive. So I'm just trying to, I created new material. I'm trying to tell people, listen, I'm not kidding. This is something. Please give me a chance. And because there is no network that I can go to in Jordan, I just had to actually keep pushing. So this is me actually just playing around, trying to find different accents and different applications, and just using technology to our advantage.
I have a lot of questions, but I'm not going to have to. I can't ask them because of the time situation. So I'm going to run us through our talk and then come back to questions. This is a video you prepared for us, correct?
That was Dubai Fashion Week. Yeah. We just created a mask for the opening of Dubai Fashion Week. 20 masks for the VIPs. I managed to make them breathable. They had N95 mask inside, so it's corona friendly, and it protects you from corona, and people can just wear them, and they were good, and they don't smell of aubergine, they smell good. And this is the video we did for the Dubai Fashion Week 2021. And that's here me actually embossing. This is me trying to see if laser works better or embossing. And actually we end up embossing, which worked better for that purpose.
And this was created for Fashion Week. And I remember you said they send it as gifts.
To the VIPs, yeah.
Yes.
The other one, yeah, the other one below is designer coach Dabbas. She's a great Jordanian designer, fashion designer. And we created this harness, body harness. This is brass, and it's brass on the waist, and it's connected. And actually, this is digital fabrication. So I went to the laser machine, and we had to cut all these pieces according to the sizes. We drew them on computer, and then we cut them. And that was worn at the closing party by a Brazilian model on the left. And it's a beautiful piece here. And this was gifted, and I gifted this to Maya Diab. So because she's an icon in fashion, I thought, and she's a little bit avant-garde in that sense. So we thought she's the perfect person to have it right.
And my question is, what is the shelf life of something like that?
Up till now, 4 years. I truly don't know. And I cannot tell you 100 years. It's 4 years until now. but it's not deteriorating. So maybe 10, I don't know.
This is
You have to see it.
This is quite an achievement for you to create a tent. I mean, I can understand the mask because of the skin of an aubergine. As you said, you had 50 of them or whatever to make a small creation. It's okay, it's comprehensible. But to create a whole length, how long is this? How wide and long is this piece?
This was 240 by 140.
Wow.
Sorry, 60, 120, 240 by 120. Yeah. This is
Maybe
actually.
you can tell us about it.
Okay. I was speaking with Ghada Kunaj, and she supports talent. She has a beautiful art gallery in Dubai, and we were discussing something. And I'm like, I have an idea. I want to create a tent made out of aubergine. And she smiles and she's like, and she smiles. You know, as I tell you, sometimes we meet people in life, and it's part of our journey, and we meet them at the perfect timing. And I swear to God, this is the right example of that. And people should have faith in that. Seriously, people should have faith in that. So I don't know Gada. I speak to her first time ever, and she was before Dubai Design Week, and she's like, we're discussing things, and I say, I always wanted to create an aubergine tent, okay, a nomadic tent, a modern one made out of aubergine floating. And she smiles, God bless her, and she says, you know what? I have sand in my gallery. I have no idea why I put the sand. Okay, this is where the tent should be. Okay, and that's how it came about. And from there, we had, I think, a month or something, and I started doing, figuring how to make it scalable. And the idea was, our parents, ancestors are very crafty. So what if we had no sheep? What if they would have the sheep, their cattle, and they would eat the meat, and they would use the skin of that to make their tents, their homes, their clothes. So we said, what I said, so what if they did not have sheep? Okay, they are crafty, they would have used aubergine. So I thought, in a land of no sheep, okay, metamorphosis of a nomadic tent. And I used the aubergine core to feed the people, and the skin to make the tent. And but Mohamed Hamad, he helped me a lot with the design. We had it all speaking like the language of the desert, and we created this, and we stitched 60 by 60 pieces, and they looked marvelous. I mean, the person who was working a little bit on it, once he saw it, he was so uncomfortable because he didn't think it's gonna work. He just mumbled things, and he was just uncomfortable. And it worked, and I was supposed to send it by DHL, and they just kept delaying it, and I had to go deliver it myself on the day of the opening, and we couldn't. My visa was delayed, and I swear to God, I found me and Ghada had so much belief it's gonna happen. I found the pilot, he took it with him, okay, and it was literally, I swear to God, and they were saying Dubai opening, and it was literally installed on that day. It was beautiful. You would see it, and
it was meant to happen. It was meant to happen, you know.
Yeah. We it's our destiny. We can never escape our destiny. We just live it if we are brave enough.
And this is a much close-up imagery of it. It's fascinating to see this. It looks so tactile. It's amazing. Which takes us to our final 2 slides. We have run over time, but it is fascinating. I could speak to you for hours.
Thank you. Vice versa. This is a collaboration with Karim Sawarha. I love his work. One of the great upcoming architects, and I always wanted to work with him. And because once I saw he's doing this material out of like it's called animals, tables with duck legs, and I was, my God, this is duck with orange. This is the dish, the French dish, duck with orange. And I call him. I say, listen, Karim, we have to do this. Okay, I have the orange, and you have the duck legs, and we created duck à l'orange. And you can't imagine, the first one we sold from Jordan, made in Jordan, we sold it to Italy. That was the first time I think we produced. Wow. And the second one to Bahrain, to Tala Bashmi, one of the best chefs in the world. And we just sold immediately. We launched, and 7 were just flown away to so many amazing buyers. And the price has quadrupled since then. So it's one of those things. We have a new collection coming as well.
Limited edition, I understand then. Is it a limited edition?
Yeah.
And this one now, how did this come about?
Great friend. Okay, the more I work, the more I prove the concept, the more I'm working with more established and fascinating people. And a good friend named Sebastian, he just He says, listen, I know this amazing designer in Bahrain and she's working on sustainability. Let's do the orange thing. And he connected us and we just clicked immediately. She's such a visionary person. And this took us 1 year to make, okay? The design, we made it. We have the best fabricator in Beirut. He works for Eli Saab, he works for Zuhair Murad. He is the best fabricator. And God bless him, he had as well belief in that, because this takes time. You're working with a material that you've never tried before. So skill becomes and experience becomes important as a benchmark, but you cannot depend on it because you have to go and make mistakes. So we started in November last year, the year before, and then we just kept working and it wouldn't work. And we just struggled and struggled. And I sent them 2 times samples and we changed the shape and then we adjusted. And I went to other people and we experimented with different things. And at the end, before I was invited to Alberta Festival, before 1 week, God bless him, he just finished it, okay? And it was this beautiful orange leather on a brass base, laminated, plate golded, okay? And it has a malachite stone hand carved from India. And I just saw it and it was this just beautiful piece. And it was realizing that, you know what, you can really make out of orange peels a high-end women's bag, and me and Noof were over the moon for that. And I really want to thank Noof for just having the belief in such a material and being the person that want to change the world. It's not easy wanting to change the world because a lot of people would not like that. So changing the world to the better is even worse. so I want to thank Noof and the fabricator for just having a faith in me.
So this leads me to my final question. What is next? What comes after this? What do you aspire for? Where are you going?
The more you go, the more unsure you become. And I think that's very important to be unsure. Being sure is the deadliest end of anything, is to be sure of things. So I don't know where I want to go, but I've learned to become more human, more caring. I met one person and she taught me not to get plastic bags. And I used to think these people are, why just carry plastic bag? It doesn't. And after Corona, it really changed me. And now you see me coming out of the supermarket, like because of Corona, but carrying a million things if I don't have a bag like with me. So, so I really want to believe in where we can work with amazing designers, push this material. This material has endless potential. You can imagine we can use oranges, lemon, anything in the world with the same technique. So all this waste that's becoming, we can do so many things for it. So what I'm looking for now is just collaborate with bigger things, build strong brands, bigger projects. That's basically what I have in mind. Hopefully.
Wonderful. I wish you all the luck. This has been fascinating and very engaging presentation. It engages all the senses.
Are we going to finish the talk now? Are we going to finish the talk? Are we getting to questions?
Yes, I think we're getting to questions now.
Before that, I just wanted to say, first of all, I just want to say I was part of Expo twice, and I want to say how fascinating. I'm impressed with Dubai being a platform to the world. And I've had an amazing platform. And I don't think my career and my work would have been the same without me participating and me having Dubai as this platform. And I want to, as well, Saudi is doing amazing now. I'm looking forward to doing things there. I just want to thank you, Dr. Reem, for being as well a platform and offering that. And I want to say, one of the things I want to work on now is changing the perspective of saying food waste. Food is not waste. There is no something called food waste. Food is food. The waste is our perspective, how we were taught to deal with it. Okay, there is always a solution for everything. Okay, so we should cherish food. We should respect the ingredient, and we should try to do something. And I'm looking forward to doing something with you. I was part of Expo, and there's all these restaurants. I'm really looking forward to create something, me with the Zai initiative, okay, where we can create something Emirati of our heritage and have used the waste that came out of the Expo. So it will outlive that, okay? And we will be celebrating such a unite of humanity in a beautiful, humble way. So I really want to change the narrative where we look at food waste. There is nothing called food waste. All is food, okay? It's just our perspective. So we should change our perspective, change the narrative, and just, I created from the peels of the oranges a high-end women's bag. We can create anything from what's left over from our food. That's what I want to do, I hope.
Let's open up the floor for questions, Emma.
Wow, I mean, absolutely fascinating. I was about to say, and then Omar, you jumped in. How can we not make an abaya? How can we? What's next? What can we do with you and the Zay and show off really all this wonderful food that you know? Yeah, it just absolutely incredible, to be honest. I'm speechless, which is quite rare for me, but lots of questions coming in as ever. And I think that what I really wanted to sort of understand is a little bit more of how did you work at Expo, Omar? Were you a part? Which pavilions were you part of?
First thing was I was invited by the Youth and Culture Ministry of UAE to be part of Al Festival. And my God, that was beautiful. I have seen Islamic art in the most beautiful way, music, typography, architecture, artists. And I had a speech there, and that was one of the most beautiful experiences in my life. And that was the first time. The second time, it was part of me being part of the Jordanian Tourism Week at the pavilion. And I had the chance to represent my country. And I think it's a beautiful thing once you get to present your country in something. So that was the two times, and both times my heart melted really. Every time entering and every time leaving the expo, knowing that beautiful experience, yani, it's embedded in me forever. It has ended. So that was that.
It's amazing. And Omar, what's next? What's your next dream? What's your next project?
Yani, it's not about dreaming. It's just about just work hard. It's a process. I wanna discover myself more. I wanna push more. I wanna change the status quo. I want us to yani, in what we're talking about in fashion. I want to create edible fashion. I was talking to a couple of people before our talk, and I was thinking edible fashion is taking as a gimmicky thing. And I was just discussing with a couple of doctors. And for example, just one use, like when I was talking about the honey that's dehydrated. Okay, people with diabetes, they have to have lifesavers on them all the time, and most of them forget them, especially kids. You can have a piece of dehydrated honey fitted in your clothes, okay, and just laminated. And the moment you need that, you just can to start discussing edible food as a serious option. I am not here to give the actual solutions. I'm just here to throw questions. I'm an artist. I'm just to raise things. Okay, YouTube was made for a video album thing. So I'm here just to throw ideas. Why not we become uh, like one with our houses and our what we wear, and they start becoming closer to us instead of being something different from us. We look at our houses and our food as something that we just use and throw away. Why not wear them? Why not have them be with nano with all these things now? So the idea is just to start pushing the envelope of just trying to develop edible clothes that are not playful, they are not gimmicky, they are for a good and for a serious thing. So having to contemplate that, having to do that, is just an idea. It's just an idea to start that. So that's what I want to do, and I'm looking to work with you guys on that. That would be a nice, interesting thing to start with.
Fantastic.
And
I'm really conscious of time because I know that lots of people have time pressures at the end of these webinars. But I'm going to ask the final question, and then for all our friends of the Zay, do please log on to Behind the Scenes, where we'll keep Omar and Dr. Reem, and we'll go into many more of your questions that have been coming through. And I'll also try and tackle some of them on the email roundup tomorrow. But my final question to you tonight, Omar, is why do you say symbiotic, and how did you come about that?
As I told you, Corona taught me a lot, taught me that we are really vulnerable. And it's a journey. And some people that know me before, these are not things that I used to care about. And some people see change as something wrong. And I see change as a must. We are in life here to change. We are born somewhere, and we must live the life that will change us and either make us better people or sadly worse people. And in doing that, I really believe that we should be more humble with the planet. We should be more humble with our food. I was doing consultation I was going to do some consultation for a concept. And I said, I don't mind, we can have meat on the menu, but if we have meat, we want to make sure that the lamb has lived a nice life, that we use the whole lamb, we respect all the ingredients of the lamb, we don't throw anything away. Same with the vegetables. So, same as with fashion, why not be symbiotic? Most creatures in nature, they are symbiotic. We sometimes are forceful. In fashion, can we create symbiotic food, edible food? That means I am cooking, for example, I am cooking malube for myself, okay? I can use the remains in the stock. Some things I can use in making clothes. Maybe I can start collecting on a bigger scale, and all the ways you can start making things with that. Um, in spirit, to respect where we come from, and to respect this planet, and to respect our bodies, and to respect the ingredients. And this is from a philosophical point that I'm not an expert at, but in the sense of having that to be humble and to be respectful. And from there, do we need to have clothes that we can eat? I don't have the answers. I think why not try, why not test? I know some cases that might be vital. Okay, um, humanity will advance always. We just have to ask questions. And I've learned from a very important person once. We have to ask the right questions. I don't know if this is the right question or not, but this is a valid question. Why not have part of our clothes edible? Is it worth it? I might be wrong. It might not be a good thing to do, but I think it's a question worth asking. So that's all.
True.
Just amazing, and such boundary expanding ideas. I've stolen those words from one of the people in the chat, but it really is. It's just opening all our eyes to different horizons and different borders and different boundaries, as you say. Even if you haven't got the final answer of whether we should have edible food, it's a great sort of thought process. And just look at what you've already achieved with the tent and everything. Just fascinating. Dr. Reem, any final words from you before we go behind the scenes?
I think this is a wonderful, wonderful session, and I enjoyed it tremendously. I learned a lot. And Omar, as you just said, that the more you learn, the more you realize how ignorant one is. So I'm very happy to learn from you today. And I hope we will work closely to create one kind of a project together.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much. Sorry?
We'll see you behind the scenes.
Thank you so much for having me, and really thank you for being a platform, because we should have platform for people to voice our stories, to voice our culture, and no one will do that for us but us. It's our duty to raise the status quo and to change us to a better future. And Dubai is doing that, and I'm grateful for always having me as Dubai, as initiatives, and as London as well, part of being that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and I hope we see you next on our next webinar in 2 weeks.
8th of March, International Women's Day, and we have Ida Delati on Syrian textiles. So we're looking forward to seeing many of you there. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye. Good night. Bye-bye.